Good morning. All right, so today is math lesson 154. We're doing time zones in the United States, which we had slightly started last time. And we're using this with your pages 277 and 278. So we're going to get going on some mental math problems to start us off and warm our brains up on this beautiful Monday morning. So let's start. I need more coffee. We're going to have 5 problems today. All right, so here we go. 17 minus 3 times 5 divided by 10 times 8 plus 7 divided by 9 times 8 divided by 4 equals 14. That was a tricky one when you start with 17 minus 3 and you have to do 14 by 5. Hopefully you can recognize 50 and then 20. That makes 70. So when you're starting off the string of that, that might have tripped you up. But good job if you got that one. All right, second one, here we go. 7 times 7 divided by 7 minus 7 times 7 plus 7 divided by 7 equals. Did you get one? That was a lot of 7s, but if you followed along, you should have gotten the answer as 1. All right, 56 plus 5 divided by 9 divided by 4. Oh, let me start over. I read the problem wrong. You can't divide by 9. Sorry. I really do need more coffee. Thank you for your patience and understanding. I am human too. Wow. Starting again. 56 plus 5 minus 9 divided by 4 times 3 plus 6 divided by 9 times 13 minus 7 equals. Hopefully you got 58 because that is the correct answer. All right, this one's a long one, so follow along. Let's see how you do. 28 divided by 4 times 9 times 1/3 divided by 7 times 9 plus 6 divided by 3 times 7 plus 4 divided by 9 times 12 equals. That was a long one. Did you get 108? Because that should be the answer. And remember, when we do times 1/3, you're simply dividing by 3 because times 1/3 and dividing by 3 are the same operation. It's just flipping upside down, right? So hopefully you remembered that. Last one for today, 8 times 3 plus 9 plus 1 plus 1 plus 7 plus 5 plus 8 plus 4 equals. You should have 59 as your answer for that last problem. So hopefully you're following along, able to keep up, and you're sharpening those mental math skills. We're going to do a quick review of temperature. So here is the problem I'm going to show you. I want you to pause, figure it out, use the correct formula. You can look back on a sheet if you need to, find the formula. Solve to the nearest whole degree. Go ahead and pause. When you're done, unpause it, and we'll go over the answer. All right, so you worked the problem, and I dropped the paper. Here's how you should have set it up, because anytime we're converting to Fahrenheit, F equals 9/5 times Celsius plus 32. Remember, we're always going to go bigger. So when we set it up like this, there's no cross canceling. When we multiply, you should have gotten 117 over 5, still have plus 32 at the end. And then when you simplify this, 23 2/5 plus 32, it's very easy to add the whole numbers. And 2/5, that's not halfway yet. All right, so it would have to be 2.5 to be halfway to 5. It'd have to be 2.5 or greater. So because it's not more than halfway, we're going to round down. It's closest to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, let's do one with Celsius. I'm going to pick up my paper here. Again, I'm going to show you the problem. You're going to pause and solve. This time we're converting to a Celsius temperature. Okay, so you figured that work out. Let's go over. Now remember, when we're doing Celsius, Celsius equals 5/9 times, parentheses, Fahrenheit temperature minus 32. Well, in this case, the subtraction becomes really easy. It's 10. I went ahead and put it in fraction form because I know I'm going to have to multiply. There's no cross canceling, but it is simple multiplication. 50 over 9 is what you should have, which is 5 and 5/9. 5 is definitely more than halfway to 9. So we're going to round that up to 6 degrees. 42 degrees Fahrenheit is closest to 6 degrees Celsius. Okay. All right, pull out your math sheet and let's look at time zones in the U.S. again. Remember on Friday, I showed you this form and I said you might want to take a picture of it on your phone. You have it. There's this one here in your book too, but it doesn't show the Hawaiian Aleutian because there's a portion of Alaska that's in there, so the Aleutian Native Americans up there. And you've got Alaska time, which covers the majority of Alaska. All right, so facts, time zones in the U.S. at the top of your page. Number 1, the Eastern time zone is centered on the 75 degrees west meridian of longitude. So if you look at the map section right there, showing the grid, you can see that longitude going through. All right, that's where the Eastern time zone is centered. So that passes through the center of this time zone here. So it's not showing the beginning or the end, that's where it's centered. All right, the Central time zone is centered on the 90-degree west meridian. So going right through the center, that's where it's centered on 90 degrees west. Number 3, Mountain time zone is centered on the 105 degrees west meridian of longitude. So when it's saying west, it's saying to the west of that prime meridian that passes through, did you remember, Greenwich? Looks like Greenwich, but it's pronounced Greenwich, England. All right, fact 4, the Pacific time zone is centered on the 120 degrees west meridian of longitude. The Alaska time zone, which it doesn't show you in your book, but on my beautiful chart, it's not colorful, I'm sorry. The Alaska time zone is centered on the 135 degree west meridian, and then the Hawaiian Aleutian one, that is centered on the 150 degrees west meridian of longitude. All right, and then it just shows different states and cities that are within those time zones. Most of Florida does fall in the Eastern time zone, but if you notice the Panhandle all the way up at the top, when you get more towards the Pensacola area, they are in a different time zone. So there are places in Florida, if you go to travel, for example, one year we went to Destin, Florida, which is up there near Panama Beach and that kind of area. And we actually crossed a time zone, even though we were in the same state. So as much as possible, they do follow the borders of the states, but it's not all complete. If you notice, there are a couple other states that fall within 2 time zones. Kentucky is one of them, and Tennessee. So if you look at those on the map, the very tip of Indiana is actually in 2 time zones. Well, the majority of the states in one, and the tip is in the other. Let's see. Michigan falls within 1, and that's why the border goes over that way. It's a little strange. We've got South Dakota and North Dakota are in 2. Kansas, Nebraska, both of them are in 2 time zones. And it looks like Oregon and Montana. Those are large states. And I think a little piece of Texas, it's hard to see from my book because the pages are smaller compared to yours, but it looks like a little part of Texas is also in 2 time zones. So just kind of interesting. And Alaska does have 2 time zones because part of it, when you do the dividing, falls within the actual Hawaiian Aleutian, and that's why it's not just Hawaiian, it includes the Aleutian. So let's go ahead and fill in these times. You should be able to say them. See if you're able and ready and thinking clearly. So let's fill these in. All right, we know that if we're going to the east, we're going to be moving ahead an hour. So hopefully you remember that this would be 2 o'clock p.m. I don't like this marker. It's smooshed. Switching. All right, as we go back, mountain time, you should recognize that that would be 12 o'clock p.m., right? And then as we go back, are you remembering anytime you have 12 o'clock and you're moving forward or backwards, whether it's a.m. or p.m., the prior hours are going to change what time of day, not just by hour, but by AM or PM. So if it's 12 p.m. in Mountain Time, Mountain Standard Time, it's going to be 11 a.m. still in Pacific Time. And then as we go backwards, 10 a.m. and backwards yet again in Hawaiian Aleutian Time, 9 a.m. Okay, so just remembering, watch out for noon or watch out for midnight. All right, because midnight is typically 12 a.m. and noon 12 p.m. So if you notice your class practice, you're completing that chart. They are giving you a time. Each and every portion has at least one of the time zones with a time, and you need to complete the rest of it. Section 2 is using the time zones, just answering questions. If it's 6 p.m. in Atlanta, what time is it in Salt Lake City? Well, you should be able to find Atlanta in the cities on the chart. Notice it's in the purple section, so it's following the Eastern time zone. Where do we find, what are they asking for? Salt Lake City. If you look for Salt Lake City, you find it in the green. All right, so it's in the Mountain time zone. So if it is 6 p.m. in Atlanta, you should be able to go back 2 time zones, which is going back 2 hours. So it's 4 o'clock p.m. in Salt Lake City. All right, so utilize that map that they're showing you, find the cities, and answer the questions. We don't need to do the rest of them together. On the back, we reviewed converting temperature. So you're going to do these 3 temperature problems. Remember, always round to the nearest whole degree. Okay, section 4, again, some more temperature, but this time in word problems. 5, you're reviewing area and perimeter. So find 2 answers for each figure. You've got a parallelogram, find area and perimeter. You've got a square, find area and perimeter. And C, you have a triangle. Hey, find area and perimeter. Number 6, find the circumference and the area. So we're not doing perimeter. That's not what it's called, of a circle. Same concept, different term. So make sure you're using the correct formula, circumference and area for that one. Cross off number 7. We're not going to do that. We haven't gone over those, and Mr. Royce will cover those in 7th grade. All right, so he knows you wouldn't have gotten to this section, and that's okay. All right, so number 8, you're doing percentage problems, finding those percentages for each one. Make sure you convert them to decimals properly. And that was today's quick lesson, 154. So you're completing every problem, all green letters except for number 7. And I will hopefully talk to you soon. See you later. Have a great Monday. Bye.